Welcome back to the Just Fantasy Baseball podcast. My name is Rami Levy. That's Vince D'Amato. Today we're doing starting pitchers, and I'm excited for this one, but not for the starting pitchers. I'm excited for this, and you're going to have to give me a minute off the top, and then guess what? When I'm done, you can speak. Long drafts are a sham. This thing is the most idiotic thing I've ever been a part of in my life. It makes no sense. It's saving the initial stress of having to coordinate a time for everyone, which, yes, can be annoying at times, but it saves you that initial stress just to stress you the F out for like a week at a time. Okay, so you arrange a draft, everyone shows up for 2 hours, and then it's over. 2 hours max, and then the whole thing is done. And maybe it was a little bit inconvenient for some people, but instead, you have a draft that at any point can just creep the fuck up on you, and you're just, oh, it's my pick. So what did I do? So I'm like, hey, my first 2 picks, I probably won't be around. Let me do right by the league. So I decided I'm going to put my draft on auto draft for the first 2 picks. First of all, the auto draft totally screwed up and got me 2 guys I didn't want. So Vince, kind enough to step in and change the picks for me. Side point, you took Trey Turner over Freddie Freeman. Is that what you're telling me? So if you change the picks and they're on you, then you took Trey Turner over Freddie Freeman, which is insane. No one would ever do that, which is why I hate auto draft in the first place. Come to find out, 15 minutes later, I come in. It would have still been my draft pick. I didn't have to do the auto draft because if I would have just waited the 4 hours, but how would I know that I needed to wait the 4 hours? Because you never know what time your draft pick is going to be. So you can't plan for it. You can never plan for it because it's reliant on everyone else. So then today, here's my story today. So I worked the overnight last night, and then today I get home. Oh, this is the best. I went to the train this morning. I took the subway to the train to get home, and I walked up to the train as it was pulling away from the station. Meanwhile, then I had to wait an hour for the next train. My train left 2 minutes late. If the previous train would have left 30 seconds late, I would have made it. I was perfect timing. I left the studio, got on the subway, hit the subway, perfect timing. Got from the subway to the platform, perfect timing. And if I had been 30 seconds earlier, I would have been on the train an hour earlier and home an hour earlier. So now I need to go to sleep. But I'm scared because my turn's coming up again. So I say, Vince, do me a solid, bro. Just hold out on your pick for a little longer. Just wait 2 hours. If you wait 2 hours, that'll give me enough time to take a nice 4 or 5 hour nap before it's my pick. Vince says, nah, I don't wait, bro. What? There's some principle now? You can't just do your boy a solid? Like all of a sudden that's the point of the long draft is so that you can help somebody out. But no, I don't wait, bro. So the first question for you is long draft. Why the fuck are we doing this? Second question. I mean, it's just constant stress. Like I'm looking at my phone every 5 seconds. Is it my pick yet? Is it my pick yet? I'm not following along the draft. So I have no idea who's been taken, who's not taken, because it's been 17 hours since the last pick. So God knows what's happening. And then you took Freddie Freeman over Trey. You took Trey Turner over Freddie Freeman. Insane.
You think I'm someone different. I don't have.
No, you said you picked for me. You said you went and changed my picks.
I didn't pick for you. No.
What do you mean?
I just reversed your pick.
Yeah, from what?
From you originally drafted Adley Rutschman in the first round.
Okay,
and then it came back around, and then you drafted Will Smith for you. So you messed up. So you messed up the queue.
No,
and
no,
now you're going to blame me and the slow draft.
I could show you. I could show you what my cue was. I could show you what my cue was.
First of all,
I didn't give you permission to speak yet, and that's why I kept texting you on Friday, like, "Yo, this is going to get messed up. This is going to get messed up. This is different. I know this is going to get messed up." And I said it time and time. And then you know what I should have done? I should have just never auto-drafted. I should have made you guys wait for me because it would have been 20 minutes and it wouldn't have been a big deal. But how was I supposed to know that it was going to be 20 minutes? Because you never know with this league. The draft pick can jump up on you at any time. And then you couldn't just be a bro and be like, hey, I'll let my pick take like an hour longer. You had to, there's some moral code of drafting that you had to stand by, that you had to draft right away. Like that part was the most insane part to me.
Well, because
my point was when you reversed my pick, you should have reversed it to Freddie Freeman, which would have been the better pick.
Well, I'm not picking for you. That was my point. I thought you had your queue set up, correct?
Like I had Freddie Freeman ahead of Trey Turner in my queue.
So then I don't know why you drafted Trey Turner.
Because you only reversed it after my 2 picks. And the guy in between drafted Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, but his picks were also reversed.
Why were his
picks not reversed? Like it's because we had to go all the way back. So we reversed your second round and then his 2 picks because he's on the turn. So his 2 picks were reversed.
So then,
and then it went back to yours and I reversed
Freeman. If I had
I
Freddie
have no idea. This is why, you see, we should have checked your draft settings, because if you go to your draft settings, you can see, and there's an option where it says auto draft from queue only. So it will auto
I
draft
know,
from your
and that's what I
queue,
had
right?
checked. You could even look at what I had checked, and I had that checked.
I think there's something you see, you're just blaming the system because you
No,
have
no, no,
had
no.
a
The
rough
system
go about
stinks.
it. No, I can't. I am not going to do those drafts where it's like an hour and a half. I'm not going to do those
For what
because
reason? For what reason? So instead, for a week straight, you're constantly bugging and checking your phone. Is it my pick yet? Do I know what's happening in this draft? Who picked who? What's left in my
Rami, I
queue?
don't know
I
if
have
you
no
know
idea what's
this.
going on.
I'm an addict, okay? A lot of the people I
That's
play with, we're
crazy.
addicts,
For
so
an
we're
hour and a
always
half, you
looking
just sit down and you
anyways.
draft like a normal freaking human being. Like it's just so basic. It's so simple. And then I miss the train, and I'm sitting here like, and now I can't take my nap. I
Yeah,
wanted to take a nap, but I'm stressing because I'm looking at my phone every 5 seconds. This is be my pick. Finally, I fell asleep, and I made the rest of y'all wait 2 hours. I don't care. I slept for
which is
4 hours.
fine. That's
Yeah,
fine.
I slept for
Use your
4 hours.
clock.
That's it. It was gonna,
Use your
yeah. Oh my
clock.
god,
That's
this
okay.
was insane. I should have used my clock yesterday when we started the draft. You should have just told me that, and then you guys would have waited 20 minutes. I would have taken Freddie Freeman and then Trey Turner on the turn, or maybe Jose Ramirez on the turn. Look, I'm happy with my draft. I love Adley Rutschman in the 4th round. Really, I do. I think I wasn't going to get. And by the way, Kevin Gausman, we'll get to pitchers. I think he's the best pitcher of all these top pitchers. I think he's the best one to get him at the end of the 3rd round. That's incredible value, I think. I don't know. You tell me. But the
Yeah,
point
well,
is, the idea of the draft is idiotic. By the way, 35 overall for Kevin Gausman. He is so much more valuable. I'll list some names here. Then Garrett Cole, then Luis Castillo,
whoa,
then any of these guys. I'm talking
whoa.
about strictly value. Spencer Strider.
Okay.
Look at, he's been doing it every freaking year consistently for like 5 years. 33, 31, 31, 33. Like starts constant. The guy he's not a flashy name as the other guys. And I of course remember him from the Baltimore days coming up. I used to see him at Camden Yards every summer. But still, that dude is the model of consistent. And now that I say this, he's 33 years old. He's gonna have Tommy John surgery next week. But that's just my luck. But still, like that guy is awesome. So let's kind of transition into pitchers. That's my rant.
That's fair.
The slow draft is idiotic.
But
And
I have
I
a
have every
question.
right to be
So,
mad. I was just looking at Freddie Freeman's numbers again, and I'm just like, I hope this guy breaks an ankle. Like, I swear, I hope he's out for the year.
whoa.
Yeah, man. And I'm mad at Freddie Freeman, and it's your fault. And there's no one else to blame but you.
So why are you so upset that you would have to so let's just say it gets to your pick and oh no, time runs out, whatever. You're still going to auto pick. How is it any different than if you were to do the draft all at once, but your team is auto draft, like auto picked?
Because if I was doing the draft all at once, I would never do auto pick. Like tonight,
Right,
I have a
but
draft.
if you were not able to make the draft,
in my
your
men's
whole
league
team would
tonight.
be auto picked. That's my point. Is
Okay,
I
but
don't want anyone to have a
I would
team that
leave
is
the league
auto picked.
if okay, but if it's one time for the draft, I would just leave the league. I would say, okay, guys, if you can't figure out my draft time, that's okay. I won't be in this league. I would not, and that's how we do it in the other league. We worked it out for 12 people. We worked out that there was a draft time that worked for everyone. And if there was someone who it didn't work for, he would leave the league and someone else would come in. The draft is the most fun part. It's the best part of the league sometimes.
Which is why we stretch it out, which is why we don't want to just do it in one short
because
time.
it ruins it. No, you just kill the draft. You ruin the draft.
We're just going to agree to disagree. I don't do any drafts that are not slow drafts.
So why do you pick immediately? Why don't you use your timer?
Because I'm using it while
and that was crazy. You couldn't just throw me a bone. You couldn't help me out. Like what?
I use the time when other people are picking. I'm like, okay, I already know who I'm going to take, so I'm 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes, because you have to constantly look at it. My God,
and so I know
there's
6 guys that I want.
I'm tired. I am sleep deprived, and this thing is driving me nuts.
I'm sorry, you're not cut out for the.
Oh my God, the long draft.
Long drafts. It's
insanity.
okay. Not everyone likes it, but
long
I cannot go back.
Long draft should be like 10 minutes per pick would be a long draft. This is like
and also now you get to think about roster construction a little bit more carefully, because sometimes when you're in the moment of a 2-hour draft and you're picking.
Because guess what? When I saw us on the clock and it was 2 hours into my pick, I was like, oh shit, I got to pick now. And I took Kevin Gausman. I didn't want to take Kevin Gausman. It was an impulse pick. Now that I took him, I love him.
I was going to say, you just talked all this hype about him and now you're okay.
I talked myself into it. This is what you do. You make impulse decisions and then you talk yourself into it. That is the point of fantasy. And by the way, same thing when in my men's league later today, which is how men draft, auction. This is what we're doing. It's an auction league. Guess what? It's going to be a quick auction draft, and everyone's going to bid. There's no timer. Guess what? Because guess what happens? Everyone's bidding. So could be there's a timer, but next second somebody else bids $5 more on a guy, and then the timer resets, and then somebody else bids. So it could take 3 hours for an auction draft. But guess what? We all know we're going into it 9:30 p.m. tonight. It's going to be awesome. We're going to, get your beer, get your popcorn, whatever the hell you want, get some wings, and go draft like normal people.
I like your start. I Trey Turner, J Ram, Kevin Gaussman, Adley. I think that's a good start.
I
don't know
love my
what
team.
what are you so
My
upset
team is
about then?
great.
I don't get
Because
it.
Freddie
I think you're
Freeman
just,
instead of Jose Ramirez would have been incredible. Then
I
I'd
think
be
you would
off.
have fit better with Trey Turner too, but you just
Yeah,
got some speed. You got plenty of
exactly.
speed now. And third base
Oh,
is
dude.
not an easy position to
And
always
it's not
fill.
as deep as
So,
first base. I know.
mhm.
That's what my father said to me. I texted him. He's like, "Hey, third base not as easy to fill as first base." I get it. I'm not mad about my team. I'm mad about the system. I'm mad about the principle. Took chicken shit and made chicken salad or whatever. I took lemons and made lemonade because I am a fantasy genius, as we've been talking about on this podcast. If you've listened to the last 8 episodes, I am an incredible mind that needs to be studied one day. But I'm still mad at the principle of all of this. And then for you to have just the principle, like you have this standard. I don't wait in my pick. I have
I
to
don't
pick
want to
my boy.
wait. I'm
Even though
sorry.
I was
Yeah.
asking you for just a favor. Just let your boy sleep for a couple hours.
Hey.
By the way, I'm not gonna give this up. I think we should do the whole episode just talk about this.
Okay, that's fine. And we'll talk about because
We'll
my
do
next
pitchers
pitch
next
is
week.
going to be my next pick is going to be a pitcher.
Yeah, who's that?
It's going to be one of these guys. Well, it's one of these 6.
You don't there's no spoilers because no one's gonna hear this by the time you pick.
Yeah,
You'll
it's
have
going to
picked.
be hopefully, unless everyone takes 4 hours.
Yeah, okay, just say it.
I'm just kidding. No, so this is my cue right now: Pablo Lopez, Tariq Skubal, Aaron Nola, Logan Webb, George Kirby, Freddie
Scooble
Peralta.
would be a reach there also. Now, I know you said you thought Adley was a bit of a reach for me, but he
Mhm.
wasn't coming back to me. Scooble could come back to you on the turn, no?
Yeah, and I think that's why. So, like, I also have Logan Gilbert and Framber
Just to
Valdez
set it
right
up for
below
everyone,
them.
wait, you're the 6th pick in the draft?
I am the 5th.
You're 5th. So
Yeah,
so
so
5 and then all right, so you're the
it'll
5th
be
pick
10
and
picks
we're
later.
going the opposite way. So he's 7th
Mhm.
pick of the 4th round now, and then he'll be the 5th pick again in the 5th round just to in everyone's heads. And I think Scooble would be a drop. I took Adley 2nd pick of the 4th round, which I do agree is a reach, but he wasn't coming back to me.
Mhm.
And was there really great value there? Altuve, like
I'm
okay,
surprised you
maybe.
didn't go with another arm, like double tap, like Kevin Gaussman and Aaron Nola or something. That's
I
what I
don't
thought
love
you were gonna
Nola.
do.
If Wheeler was still there, I would have done Wheeler and Gosman.
Sure.
That's what I was going to do, but I don't love Nola. There was not another pitcher. Scooble was the other one I was looking at, but I was like, it's way too early for him. I'd much rather the value for Adley is much better. Adley, I think, is by far and away the best catcher. I know we talked about that on the catcher
Mhm.
episode. So, I have one of the best shortstops, although now Mookie Betts is a shortstop. We haven't talked about that. He's still
Yeah,
eligible at other positions, right?
Yeah,
He'll
second
probably
base,
still be eligible
outfield,
at second base and
shortstop.
outfield, so it doesn't
Mhm.
really change anything. But he will be a shortstop this year, which is crazy. I saw somebody, I think it was your guy, Dansby Swanson. No, was it Swanson
Yeah,
who
it was
said?
Dansby. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, well, now he's just stealing a position, the all-star position. So he's stealing one from us, which I guess is a fun take. Wow, I need to calm down.
Did you
All right.
something else? We'll last little section and then we'll talk pitching because this will be a little calming section. Hopefully, did you see the banter? And I think this was a week or two ago between Garrett Cole and Daniel Vogelbach. Did you
I
catch
did,
that?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I thought that was pretty
Yeah,
funny.
I mean,
Daniel
it'll be fun.
Vogelbach is giving him, Garrett Cole hasn't hit any home runs in his career. I don't know why he thinks he's something special.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
thought that was pretty
Garrett Cole,
funny.
I mean, whatever. It's so dumb. And it's freaking Daniel Vogelback who literally cried himself into a hole last year and ate himself into I think he literally locked the door to his apartment in New York and just ordered Uber Eats every day.
Hey,
Kind of like Joey Gallo.
Gastism. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Start with your tiers of starting pitchers and then we'll move along.
Sure. And you try to sound a little more not so sad.
I'm so
sound
enthusiastic. I
defeated
can't
now.
wait to talk to you for an hour.
Oh wow. So we got tier one, typical God tier. This one's Spencer Strider, Garrett Cole, and that's it. 2 guys. I mean, we'll dive into some of the specifics of them, but
Yeah, I don't think you
can't
can
beat it.
argue that those
Yeah,
guys
those are the top two dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Tier 2, I labeled as bona fide aces. So these are aces that you're going to be happy with. Obviously, they bring strikeout upside. They bring a safe floor for their ratios. They don't really have many question marks next to them, and that is Corbin Burns, Zach Wheeler, Luis Castillo, Kevin Gausman, and Pablo Lopez.
By the way, if Castillo was there also, so Wheeler and Castillo, if I would have doubled down, I would have gone Wheeler, Castillo, Wheeler, Gausman, Castillo, Gausman. But obviously Wheeler and Castillo were gone as well. But
yeah, and
I do have a question for you about Burns and Lopez. So
sure.
I'll do it here. Burns, hitter's ballpark, moving to Baltimore. Although they moved the wall back, but
I think it's a pitcher's park, no?
I guess now might be. I'm just so used to it being a pitcher's park for a hitter's park for so many years. But that left field wall, you might be right. All right, move along. But tough AL East, playing in Fenway, playing in New York, playing. Do you think anything changes with Burns this year? The question remains.
Changes? No, not really. The only league where I think he really took a step forward, like the league type that Corbin Burns takes a step forward, is wins leagues. He could at that point, if you're in a league that values wins,
for losers.
Yeah.
Wins.
He might even move up into the God tier because I think that team's going to be so good.
Right, that's true.
20-25 game winner
a lot
potentially.
Of games.
So, but he is.
I got another question about our league. Sorry.
Sure. No,
I see SVH. Is that saves or holds?
Saves and holds. So it'll add saves and holds.
Jeez. So basically, we're drafting relievers.
Yeah, don't take a reliever next round. Probably wait a few more. But
so what's the point of that? Because it just adds guys like freaking, I guess last year, Michael King, or 2 years ago, Chad Green to the mix.
Yeah,
or
so
prime Dylan Betances to the mix.
Do you know what a hold, like how to define a hold?
Kind of. I mean, I think it's a guy who comes in like the 7th or 8th inning and holds the game before the closer saves it.
Yeah. I mean, but it has to be within 3 runs, and
yeah, exactly. It's the same rules as a save, just not the final 3 outs of the game. And you know what?
Which I thought you would like, right?
I know. It makes more sense, but it devalues the whole relief position.
It devalues
Yeah, it makes more sense that whole. What I said last week on last week's episode was that saves should kind of be holds, meaning holds should turn into saves at times. You know what I mean? Where it should be maybe multiple guys can get saves in a game where the last 3 outs gets a save, but also the guy who came in the 7th inning, with runners on the corners and 1 out and got 2 outs in a 1-run game should obviously get a save also. So that's what I was saying. So I do like it in theory. I think we need to work with it. My only problem with it is it completely devalues closer.
Like the high end closers.
Yes. The high end closer. There's no reason for me now to go for Camilo Duvall. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or whoever, Josh Hader, whatever it is. And I don't know if Josh Hader's going to be closing games or not, but you get what I'm saying.
I think he is. He's
but it doesn't matter anymore because even if he was the 8th inning guy, he'd be just as valuable.
Yeah.
So Wandy Peralta, extremely valuable in this draft. He was the Yankees.
Yeah, and there's still value to be had with those top end guys because that they're gonna get the opportunities versus sometimes those 8th and 7th inning guys aren't used as often as closers.
Sometimes they're used more often though. I don't know.
Depends, and that's why actually sometimes now, and the reason why I like this format too is long relievers have value too because they can get a save hold or a hold.
And they'll probably get more strikeouts.
3-4 innings. Yeah. And they'll have some strikeout.
No, I like it for the way baseball's played today, especially where you're going to have a guy who's an opener, but he might be a long reliever 2 days a week. So you could steal a couple strikeouts on days that he opens and then maybe steal a hold here and there. No, it's not terrible. It is made for how baseball is played today. I just have never seen it before. Anyway, moving along, do you want to talk about Pablo Lopez? Do you think it's a little bit of a fluke last year, or do you think that was him finally coming into reaching his full potential?
Yeah, no, that is 100% legit. Pablo Lopez, everything that he did is legit. The only reason that he hadn't broken out earlier in his career was just injuries. That's all it was. He kind of struggled to stay on the field for long periods of time, but now he's done it for 2 years in a row. There's no reason to think he can't continue. So yeah, I am all in on Pablo Lopez, and I still think he's kind of underrated. I think he could definitely take a step forward. I don't know if he's ever in the God tier, but he could make it to the top of this tier and be with Burns by this point next year. Burns, Wheeler. I think he's very much slept on, and I see George Kirby going before him. I don't understand that. Like, I get it. Kirby's elite. You know, he going to keep the walks down, have elite ratios, things like that. But I'm a huge Pablo Lopez fan. I think everything that he did is legit.
All right, next tier.
So next tier I labeled, so tier 3 is the back end SP1. These are guys that you're still comfortable with as your SP1 if you have to go with one of them, because there's obviously not enough guys to go around. But I would like to double tap with a lot of these guys, right? If I ended up with 2 of these guys, I'd feel really comfortable for them as my quote unquote SP1. But back end SP1s, I have George Kirby, Zach Gallen, Aaron Nola, Tariq Skubal, Freddie Peralta, Logan Webb, Tyler Glasnow, Framber Valdez, and Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
So you're not scared that he hasn't thrown a pitch in Major League Baseball?
No, not too much. There might be some adjustment, but I saw Kodai Senga come over and he was phenomenal. You know, it took him some time to adjust, but no, I'm not worried.
No, I mean, you're not wrong. I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're necessarily wrong about that.
And
As
I
far
think
as Logan Webb, his numbers say he might be better than this tier. Why do you have him down here?
I think it's just the thing I like about Logan Webb is he's got the high floor, right? He's going to throw for 200 innings, right? He's just the workhorse. But the reason why he's down is just the strikeout upside, right? So he had 22% strikeout rate last year. I don't have his specific ones in front of me. Do you have his numbers up? I'm kind of curious to see. I forget how many strikeouts he had. I mean, he's going to volume his way to strikeouts, which is good, but I just
last
want
year
a little more fun.
He had why can't I find it? Where is strikeouts? Please, I have to scroll. 194 strikeouts last year.
Yeah, and that's in 216 innings. So
yeah, I get it, but he's throwing 216 innings. So
which that's great, but
and he threw 192 the year before and had 163 strikeouts. So yeah, I get it. His that strike K per 9 ratio is not all the way where you want it to be, but it comes with a great ERA, a lot of quality starts.
He's got a great walk rate.
I mean, great walk rate. Like again,
walk rate last year.
Yeah, so I kind of like him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's great if he's your SP1, and I have no problem with him being the SP1. And I think that's why I have him and Zach Gallen in the same kind of tier, because I think they're very similar. They both have elite control. Zach Gallen threw for 200 plus innings last year. I think, including playoffs, it was almost like 250, which is just insane. It kind of scares me a little bit for this year, because I'm like, I don't know if any of that's, is he fully healthy? Like, it's just kind of uncharted waters there. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with them, but I don't think that they're in the same level as like a Kevin Gausman, Luis Castillo, just because of the strikeout upside.
What's crazy is, of all those guys in that tier, I think Yamamoto went first in our draft just now.
He did, yeah. Which, and I know the guy who took him pretty well, and I think there's just kind of the
guy who stole Freeman from me.
Yeah.
Freaking loser.
Yamamoto is
breaks his ankle.
See, you're going to say that, and then it's actually going to happen, and then you're going to feel horrible. And
I won't feel bad.
No.
I'll feel vindicted.
What happens when your 2 top picks get hurt because you're saying things?
Then it's your fault that I had them in the first place.
No, I actually said, let's let you keep Adley.
Pretty easy.
Oh,
yeah. That would have been a real shame. I have really Adley anyway.
But that's true. That is true. So no, I do like those pitchers. I like everyone in this kind of range.
Adley, I didn't even put him on my. I didn't even put him on my queue at that point.
But yeah, and then no, because Zach Gallen did go before Yamamoto in our draft, so I guess that is one. But either way, those are the tiers. Anything you want to touch on before we start doing values?
No, let's kick it to best value. Give me your best value first. We'll switch off. We each have 2.
Yeah, so I start with Christian Javier. I think is the best value at pick 180. I think that is just way too low. And I get why he's dropped down. You know, I think in part though, it's because the expectations were that he is going to be this next high end SP2 kind of territory, and he wasn't. And so I think when the expectations were so high and then he performed as not horrible, but it wasn't good for a while. There was long stretches where he was really bad. So I think people are just kind of like, when their expectation wasn't met, they're dropping him down significantly more than they probably should have. And I noticed already I know it's a super small sample, but just in the 6 innings he's thrown so far this spring, he's looked phenomenal, and he's got 9 strikeouts. So I think his strikeout rate's going to come back. It's kind of weird that it dropped down as much as it did. He was over 30% in 2022, and then 2023 he was at 23%. So it was just kind of weird. I think it was just a weird year for him. I have no problem buying back in at that price at 180. And again, I like to bet on organizations, especially when it comes to pitching. And the Astros are phenomenal. They know what they're doing. So I am betting on Christian Javier at pick 180. I think that is terrific value.
I love it. I have Marcus Stroman. I see him as his ADP at like 227-ish. Again, I know we use different formats for our ADP, but that's where I have him at. Mm-hmm. And again, this is a guy, if you're in a wins league, I think the Yankees will win a lot of games. And another guy who's to start spring just looks absolutely fantastic. And last year, he was one of the best pitchers in the league in fantasy until he got hurt. And so, you know, he got hurt and then he wasn't the same the back half of the year. I get it. And that's kind of been the thing with him the last couple of years, is that he falls off towards the end of the season and kind of maxes out at that 150 innings, and then it's like you're kind of left with nothing. At the same time, if he can just get through a full season, he's not going to be expected. I think he's a little underrated. I think for where you're taking him, you could get top value for most of the season, even if he does fall off at the end, which I know sucks because you won't have him for the end of the season, which might be the most important part. But you know, if that's the case, hopefully it doesn't. But he would be one of these top pitchers going really early if it weren't for those falls at the end. So if he can just stay healthy for a full season at 227, that value is ridiculously good. And like I said, another guy looks great this spring. I think he's excited to be in the Bronx, and he's reinvigorated by the opportunity to be with the Yankees. Maybe that propels him to one of his best seasons he's had in the last 3-4 years.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. And, you know, at this price, you can't really complain. And I would definitely be more interested in taking him in leagues where I have IL spots.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you might need one of those, but I think that's a good call.
Yeah, that guy who drafted Freddie Freeman hopefully might need one too. All right, go with your next best value pick.
He's going to listen to this. I think he actually might be one of the people who does. I think in the league he is going a listener.
I hope he will. Does. What's his name?
Will come after you. His name is Quentin Q.
Quentin.
Call him. Yeah.
Shut the fuck up, Quentin. All right, go.
Oh, he's coming after you. I love it. So my next,
it's not even, it's Vince's fault, by the way. And then there's another guy in the league whose team name is Vince, and I was so confused because I thought that was you. And then you're like, I drafted Bryce Harper, and I'm like, what? No, you didn't.
Yeah, no, that's a buddy of mine who
also named Vince.
Tyler is his name. I do another podcast with him.
Team name is called Vince.
Vince's shortstop. So I was a pitcher when we were growing up, and he played shortstop and third base.
Oh my God, that's way too confusing. All right,
yeah,
continue.
Shortstop.
Did you already say the name?
No, I did not, because you keep cutting me off. What gives? Come on.
Yeah.
My best value is Aaron Savali here. My second one at pick 209. This is another, like I said, bet on an organization. What organization better to bet on than Tampa Bay Rays? And if we look, so Savali was traded in the middle of last year, and he came over and he was a different animal. Like, he was, dare I say, SP2 territory. Like, he was phenomenal. And so I am going to continue to bet that is legit. I 100% think all of the things that the Rays did with him are legit. His strikeout rate went
betting on an organization, you know?
Yeah. His strikeout rate went from 19 to 29%, which is like incredible. And he was just at a 5% walk rate. So, and another reason why I think it's legit too is the Rays did it with Zach Eflin. Like, they're doing it with both of these guys. So clearly they have some sort of magic sauce. I don't know if it's Mike's magic. What is it? Mike's special stuff, right? I don't know what it is, but they have some of it there. So I'm betting on Aaron Savali. I think 209 is criminally low. The only concern would be injury. He's thrown 124 innings, and that's the most he's ever thrown. So again, probably one of those guys that I would love to have with IL spots, but certainly one that I'm not afraid to take.
Yeah, and then my second best value, and just considering where I drafted him, that's what I'm basing this entire thing on, is Kevin Gausman. I think he is the most reliable. Even when you look at Cole, even when you look at Strider, Strider's had injuries. Cole has had home run allowing issues. When you look across the board at starting pitchers, Kevin Gausman might be the most valuable starting pitcher, or at least the most reliable, I should say, starting pitcher of all those top dogs. So if you get him at the end of your second or third, or in my case, end of the third round, and he's the 35th overall pick in the draft, I mean, this is a guy who could be top 20 pick. And again, I got him after guys like Zach Wheeler, after guys like Luis Castillo. And I love both of those guys. And those guys I definitely would have taken if they had fallen to me. But Gausman, for getting him 4, 5, 6 picks later, I think is incredible value.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have much to add. I don't know if he would ever sneak into the top 20, and I personally prefer Wheeler and Castillo over him.
Again,
but I have
but
no problem with
35
anyone
is yeah,
yeah.
maybe I would take his
Mhm.
like yes.
But I have
If
no problem
Wheeler or
if
Castillo was
someone
there, I'd probably
Mhm.
take Wheeler. But still, I would have had to think about Castillo versus him.
Yeah, I think, there's no wrong answer between those three. It's just personal preference at that point. Or who do you want to root for, right? Who do you enjoy watching? That's part of the fun of fantasy baseball. That's why we
No, it's
play.
not. I don't enjoy watching Kevin Gausman at all. All right. Hate the Blue Jays. Worst value. Who do you have for your worst value?
I hate saying this one because I think it's the chalk answer. I think it's everyone's answer right now, but he's still going. My
Looks
worst
so good in
value
spring.
is Tyler Glass now at pick 44.
Yeah.
There is just no way I'm paying a top 50 pick for a guy who has thrown 120 innings. He's 30 years old, and 120 is the max that he's thrown, and that was last year. There's too many injuries for me
He's
to be
still available
paying
in our
a
league if you want him.
no, and that's why he's not even on my queue. Like he does make sense if you're going
Like,
to
he was a
draft Tyler
sham
Glass
anyway.
now. I would pair him with a guy like a Logan Webb or someone who is going to get volume, or Garrett Cole, someone who's going to get volume that you don't really have to worry about. And then Glass now is like, because I firmly believe Glass now is the best per inning pitcher on the planet right now. And I don't really think it's close. I think he is that good. He just has ridiculous numbers that I don't even need to read because it's just everyone knows how good he is and everyone knows the risk too. So people are clearly okay with taking him as their SP1, but I am not. So I think he's going to be babied quite a bit. I don't know how many innings to expect. I don't know. So for all of those reasons, Shark Tank, I'm out. So thank you. But yeah, Glass now, worst
Yeah.
value.
Mine, I think, is a weird one also, and I don't know. I didn't see his. I again forgot to look his ADP, but it's Blake Snell, and I had him last year, and he won the freaking Cy Young Award last year, and yet he was so wildly frustrating. And now maybe his ADP is skewed right now because he's not on a team, and that could hurt him. But
I see him at 68 right now.
yes, to me that's high because even in a year like last year, when he was the freaking Cy Young, he was so frustrating as a fantasy value. I mentioned that I had Marcus Stroman last year. I had Stroman and Snell, and consistently, Stroman was better. For most of the season, Stroman was better as a fantasy option because Snell could never get past 5 innings because he just walks way too many guys. His walk ratio is just way too high up, and it kills him. It kills his pitches, and then he doesn't get as many strikeouts. It's just, to me, he's not worth where people are drafting him. And that's him at his best. I think was him at his best last year. So a little bit of a drop off, which I think is fair to say, especially, going to a new organization, missing spring training. It's fair to assume he might have a little bit of a drop off. I think that could hurt him even more. And if at his best, he's not that, like, he wasn't that great of a fantasy pitcher, even winning the Cy Young. Imagine what he is if he's falling off a little bit from that, which I think is to be expected.
And I think Blake Snell and Tyler Glass now are two guys that I almost feel like I need two other top 20 arms, like guys that I feel
If you
very
do
safe with
draft
if you're
them,
going to
yes.
take them. Like
The
they're
risky
just so
business.
risky.
That's
Yeah.
the risky business category. And I know when we do this, when we do the worst value, sometimes we look at just like actual worst value. Sometimes we look at the quote risky business,
Mhm.
and those guys are definitely risky business.
Yeah, 100%. My next worst value, and I'm sorry about this one. I don't know if you like this guy, but it's on your team, so I said sorry. That is Carlos Rodon. He is going at pick 158 right now. I don't know what your thoughts are on him, but he has not looked good this spring. There was
I
already
think
some
he's gonna
question
suck. I
marks.
mean, this
Yeah,
was my entire I did 5 hours on WFN about how Carlos Rodon is gonna suck, and the Yankees are going to the season relying on Carlos Rodon is the worst thing. Like eat the money. I don't know. Just it's not working. It's not going to happen. He was a fluke. He was, he was good in the contract year. He's never going to be good again. His fastball is dead. And yeah, I wouldn't draft him. I wouldn't touch him. I don't care where his ADP was. If he was 500, I wouldn't take him.
yeah, and he didn't look good at the end of last year, and his velocity is still way down. There's just,
You know what he
I
said
mean,
after his last start?
hmm, I didn't hear it.
He said the most ridiculous. Do you hear me?
No. Oh, I heard you. I didn't hear what he said.
Oh, okay. You know what he said at the end of his last start? It was just ridiculous. He said something to the effect of, "Well, everything else, all my secondary stuff was good, but my fastball still getting hit." Going into the start, his whole point was, "I'm going to use the other things to make the fastball look more deceiving." So great, your cutter and your changeup didn't get hit, and your slider didn't get hit, but your fastball is still a meatball at 92 down the middle, and everyone sees it coming. So there's obviously something wrong with your fastball. And the whole point of the other pitches was to make your fastball look better. That's what he said going into the start. So after the start, for him to say, I felt good about all my stuff but the fastball, the whole point was the fastball. Like, you're a fastball pitcher, and your fastball is a meatball right down the dick right now. And so it's, yeah.
Yeah. I think people were expecting him to bounce back, and I think that's why his ADP is where it's at right now. But if you're still paying 158, stop. Like, just,
I
I
mean,
mean, he's
last year he was
yeah,
getting drafted as one of the top 10 pitchers,
mhm, yeah, and that's why I think he just hasn't fallen off as much as on price wise as he should. So he's got to be closer. I mean, there's guys that I'm looking at right now near to, like, give me Christian Javier
Yeah,
over him, and he's going 30 picks
sure.
later. So yeah,
How do you like the new layout, by the way?
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I can't take credit for it, but
The only thing I was thinking is we should have our Twitter handles down under our names or something.
all right, Ryan, you hear that? We should have our Twitter
Yeah,
handles down.
Ryan, come on. Why aren't
All
you
right, now,
sleeping?
yeah, why don't you sleep, Ryan? Why are you on my schedule? What do you do for work? We don't know. Anyway, all right, let's
Nobody
get to our
knows.
sleepers.
So my first sleeper is Andrew Abbott, who is currently going at pick 269. Um,
69.
this is definitely kind of a risky one. I think in terms of the ballpark is obviously like the worst ballpark for a pitcher to throw in. For anyone who doesn't know, Andrew Abbott plays for the Reds. I had to get at least one
Shocking.
Reds player in here, right? Yeah. I actually don't like Hunter Green. I almost put Hunter Green on my worst value. So
Wow.
yeah,
But then you didn't put him on because he's on the Reds, so you figured.
right. And I love the Reds, and no,
Yeah,
I listened to Nick Pollock quite a bit. I don't know if you know who Nick Pollock is, but
of
he
course.
is like
Big time.
pitching guru, right? And Nick Pollock actually believes that Andrew Abbott in 3 years could be the best pitcher on the Reds.
Hmm.
He could be better than Hunter
Yeah,
Green
but what
and Nick
about for
Lodolo.
2024?
And so, well, that's my point. Is 2024 is this a
And again,
sleeper at
there's some
pick
Dynasty League people
269?
listening here. And
Mhm. I feel like he's just it's too cheap of a price. He's got a good 4 pitch mix. He had a good year in the majors last year. It was under I thought I was reading Chase Seth, but he still had a good year in the minor or majors last year for his first year. I think he's got more in the tank to take another step forward. I don't think he's like ace upside kind of stuff, but certainly a good mid to back end starter. At pick 270, you can't beat that at that price. Just again, the only thing is he's in a bad park. So just if you're going to take him, maybe he's one. If they're in Cincinnati and they're playing a good offense, I might sit him that day or something. But Andrew Abbott is certainly one that I am going after.
yeah, I have two that are the same, pretty similar. One, I mean, ADP, they're very far apart, but two Red Sox actually. And my first one is at pick 226, Brian Bello. I think, and
Brian
I don't know.
Bayo.
I knew I wasn't going to pronounce that name correctly.
That's okay. Yeah.
Uh, I don't watch a lot of Red Sox games, but I know that this kid
Obviously,
just
yeah,
signed a new.
Yankee. Maybe you just like you're intentionally digging because it's the Red Sox. That's all it
No,
was.
I think again. Remember how I told you pronounce Juan Soto, who hit another 500-foot bomb today, which is
I know. I love it.
yeah, you drafted him
I
after
know.
you drafted Juan Soto. Like you
Yeah.
talked like, I don't know, and then you drafted him
I
fifth
almost went Kyle
overall.
Tucker. I almost went Kyle Tucker, but
No,
I
you
was like,
didn't. You
I
knew you were
didn't.
going Juan Soto, and you were just deceiving me.
No, Cut
Um,
Tucker was up there. He was in my queue. But anyways, sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
but Juan, I love the pick because I think he's going to be great this year. So I can't fault you for that. Either way, I'm not good with the names that are. I just I read what I see,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's all.
Bello,
Very
Bayo. Yeah.
simple like that.
Rayon Bayo. Yeah. So why is he
Rayon
a sleeper
Bayo,
for you?
he just signed that contract. I think that shows the Red Sox are confident in him. I think he is trending in the right direction. I think he's going to pitch more innings this year. I think he's going to turn into. I think this is the year he breaks out and becomes the ace of that staff, if I'm being quite honest. And so that is my pick. 226. Again, you're talking like pretty late for an ace for a guy who's going to be a number one pitcher on his team. And not a ton of stats behind it. Just this feeling that I have that the Red Sox always find a way to do this where they sign this guy, a young kid, to a contract, and all of a sudden he's going to turn into a superstar. Just watch.
I hope so. I
Everyone's
think
going to know the name Bayo by the end of
his
this.
his K rate is a little bit too low. He definitely improved his walk rate, which I think is good last year. But
He's a sleeper. I'm not saying he's going to be like this great pitcher.
sure, right? No, yeah, definitely at that price. I think it's a good pick. I'm a huge Bayo guy. I drafted him a lot last year. Hope he does it
Yeah,
again this year.
I think he'll be better this year than he was last year.
Yeah, I think so too. So my next one, I mentioned him earlier briefly, is Chase Silseth at pick 397. He is a pitcher for the Los Angeles Angels.
Which in our league, by the way, because the slow draft will be in 6 months from now.
I don't even think we'll get to pick 400. I have to do
Okay.
the math. I don't remember. But Chase Silseth is one still to watch out for if you don't draft him, or maybe he's like, one of your
Does
last
the draft
picks.
have a hard date that it becomes not a slow draft?
We will do so as we get closer. I want to say probably within once we get to half of a week or 5 days before the season starts. If we're still very far out, I'm going to shorten the clock I'm going to cut the clock in half or something like that.
Imagine you're consuming this content in like the short clips and not watching the full long episodes.
They'll be a little confusing. Yeah.
Music.
So Chase Silseth is my sleeper here. He was very clearly rushed to the majors when we look at 2022. He did not have a good start. I don't know what the deal with the Angels doing that is. Like Shanwell was rushed to the majors. Zach Neto. I mean, the guys perform for the most part, but Chase Silseth was one who did not. But last year, he had a good year. He was sub 4 ERA. Good, check. And a 25% strikeout rate. Check. And everything in the underlying numbers backs it up. He has good whiff percentages. So I don't see why Chase Silseth doesn't go higher. I really don't. Maybe it's the Angels bias because they're just a dumpster fire right now. And just nobody's really known on that team other than Anthony Rendon, who's spewing nonsense. I don't know. We don't need to talk
What
about
about
that.
Mike
But
Trout?
I know Mike Trout.
I think
Right.
you should take Mike Trout as your next pick. I think it's a good value spot for him.
I need an arm.
Yeah, you do.
But anyways, so yeah, I think Chase Silseth is a steal at 397.
All right. That's a good pick. My other pick is a guy who struggled last year, but he's turning 27. 364 is his ADP. So again, really late. And I think he could also have a breakout year, and that's Garrett Whitlock. I think I pronounced that one correctly. In our league also, if he ends up in that Michael King role where he's starting some games, then relieving some games, and he could get saves, he could get holds, he could get wins as a starting pitcher too. I think he could ultimately be a major weapon for them with how baseball's played today. He's a guy who could start, pitch 5 innings one day, and then 3 days later come out and pitch 2 innings out of the bullpen and get a save or get a hold. I think the Red Sox want to use him in that way. I love Alex Cora as a manager. I think he's a great manager. And I think he'll find creative, fun ways to use Whitlock this year and really get the most out of him in his age 27 season. Again, deep sleeper, 364. I'm not saying he's going to be one of the top pitchers in the league, But Baker Mayfield is back to the Tampa Bay Bucks per source, according to Ian Rappaport. By the time you hear this, that'll be old news. But Garrett Whitlock, I think, is going to be I think he's going to be very valuable for whoever drafts him or picks him off waivers, really late.
Yeah, and his value definitely took a jump up once Giolito was announced to be out. So
And
right,
he looks great in spring. I know we talk about it,
Mhm.
but did you see his stuff moving today? Some of the videos that were coming out on like Pitching Ninja and stuff. He was throwing this 2-seam fastball that was just all over the place.
Beautiful.
I did like a hand motion
for people who are listening. Yeah. My last sleeper is one that I don't know how to feel about, to be honest, but I'm calling him a sleeper because he has the potential to jump up and return top 150 value at pick 506. He's currently going at pick 506. Maybe 150 is a little high.
He couldn't possibly be a sleeper at pick 506.
Either way, his name is Joe Boyle. And so
Who does Joe Boyle play for?
Joe Boyle plays for the Oakland Athletics.
Oh,
so
cool.
Another dumpster fire of an organization, right?
Yeah, but they might just throw him out there for 7 innings at a time because they have nothing to lose.
Well, exactly. And so he's got a rotation spot, which is great. The problem, though, and some of these numbers are absolutely atrocious. He walked guys in the minor leagues. Are you ready? So an average, like middling walk rate is about 9-10%. Like that's where it's like, okay, you're starting to get into like the red flag area once you get into double digits. He was walking guys at a 16% rate in the minor leagues.
Oh God,
which is atrocious. Like
that's
that is
almost
horrible.
Blake Snell levels.
It's worse than Blake Snell levels. I mean, right? So
yeah,
which is weird for me to be wanting a guy like that. But the reason why I maybe bought in is because in his first 2 starts in spring training, he did not walk a single batter. And the reason why I'm betting on him is because his stuff is huge. He's got a good fastball. All of his pitches are phenomenal. He's got great stuff, very similar to Blake Snell in that sense of like, he just walks too many guys. So if that walk rate, I know it's a huge ask to drop 5-6 points, but even if it's 10, 11, 12 at pick 500, that's great value. I think he's going to be a sleeper. Again, the A's, I don't know what to really expect from them. I mean, I know what to expect. It's not going to be good, but as far as how they're going to use their pitchers, but I don't think they're going to baby Joe Boyle. I think he's just going to go out there. They're going to say, throw as much as you want, as much as you can. And we're just going to, see what we can get. So I like Joe Boyle at this price. But if the walks do start getting out of hand, you're not losing much. Pick 500, just drop him. So
exactly.
To watch out for.
That's what we're talking about. That's what sleepers are. It's those guys that we said risky business before. This is low risk because of what you're, potentially giving up, and high reward, hopefully. And that's what we're trying to help you with here. So now that leads us to a few more guys who are pretty much low risk unless you're in one of those dynasty leagues like yourself. But these are the prospects. Vinny's prospect report. Give us your prospects.
My first one is AJ Smith-Shawver at pick 490. He's currently going out right now, so right around Joe Boyle territory. AJ Smith-Shawver, he's got number 2 starter upside, I think. I mean, his stuff is phenomenal. And the big reason why I think I'm betting on him, or at least certainly keeping my eye out for him, is because the Braves kind of rushed him last year to the majors because they believe that he is good enough to be pitching for their major league team. And so he's got the potential to break camp. I don't know if he's going to do it, but he's got the potential to be up with them opening day. He's definitely one that I'm keeping on my radar. If he does break camp, he makes a phenomenal late round target. So yeah, AJ Smith-Shawver, huge stuff or great stuff. And another organization bet, right? Atlanta knows how to use pitchers.
Yeah.
So
and
my next
Atlanta, an organization that has a lot of injured starting pitchers often. So, one of those guys get hurt. All right, go ahead.
My next one is Gavin Stone. And this one I actually kind of added late today because I saw that Emmett Sheehan is going to be starting the season on the IL. So this opens up a spot for Gavin Stone. And I think Stone has the potential to really deliver value. I mean, again, pick 570, you're not really losing much, but the reason why I think he is valuable, especially
that's such a
here,
strong name. I mean, Gavin Stone, Great name.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes the name value alone.
He's got stones, right? Like,
Yeah,
that's what we like to
exactly.
see. We need stones out of a pitcher.
Mhm.
Um, his MLB debut last year was not good. It's really, really bad, actually. He's a changeup first guy, so sometimes those kinds of guys, can be
Gets
volatile
slapped
or
around a little.
yeah, they get hit around a little bit. But I think
We
Gavin
saw with
Stone's
Tommy
stuff
Kahnle
will.
last year out of the Yankees bullpen. Just didn't, the changeup's great unless you know it's coming.
Mhm. So Gavin Stone again going to deliver value, I think, especially at 570, and now I think especially because he's going to be in that rotation. So he's one.
It'll at least get you
You know,
wins, right?
yeah, yeah, especially if you need wins. If you're win
Yeah,
chase, can't be on a better team there. Maybe besides, I mean, that's another AJ Smith Shaver. It's another
yep,
win guy.
100%.
And then my last one is my last prospect guy to watch out for is Jared Jones. So
Another strong name.
yeah, yeah, JJ. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he doesn't like JJ, but he is a pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he's another one who is probably going to get some run. I think he's going to start the year in the rotation. And the Pirates are kind of. I know that again we talk about organizational bets. The Pirates aren't necessarily one that I see a long track record of, but I look at a lot of their young prospect pitchers, and they have some talent. So
Yep.
Jones is one. Obviously, Paul Skeens. They have Solometo. They have Bubba Chandler.
I
There's
mean, even if you go
4.
back to Garrett Cole and Jameson Tyone and some of those guys who pitched really well when they first came up in their system.
Yeah, and Mitch Keller's been fine.
Yep.
Like they, I think, are doing something right with their pitchers. And Jared Jones is another one who he just kind of has to rein in the walk rate quite a bit, but he's looked phenomenal this spring. And he's one who he throws triple digits consistently. He's got a fireball of a fastball. He's got a 4-pitch mix. Um, and then like average secondaries, average curve, changeup, average ish. But he's kind of dominated throughout most of the minor leagues. He stumbled a little in AAA last year, but I mean, again, for this price, if you're taking a gamble at pick 604, he's just someone to watch out for. Keep your eye on as the season goes along. If he starts pitching well and keeping that walk rate in check and not getting injured, I think he definitely has potential to help out your fantasy team.
All right, and then before we hit the top 10, you mentioned Mitch Keller. Somebody asked me about him. How do you feel about Mitch Keller going into this season?
I like Mitch Keller. I do. I
What
think
do you feel him? Middle rounds?
yeah. So he's going. I actually see him at pick 168. I think that's a very good price for him. I think
All right.
he should be up by like Hunter Green, which is 140. I actually think him and Hunter Green maybe should be flipped. I do like him over Hunter Green. I like him. Walker Bueller's going a little bit higher. I would take him over Walker Bueller. Yeah, Mitch Keller, he's got strikeout upside. He's going to, I think, be a little inconsistent. I don't think he is the pitcher that we saw in the first half of last year. I don't know if you followed him, but he was like, I think maybe the best fantasy pitcher for the first half
Yes.
of the season.
Yep.
So I don't expect that. Let's be very clear. But I do expect some hot stretches, some cold stretches. But I think he's certainly valuable. So I am a fan
Levels
of Mitch
out a
Keller.
little bit to kind of
Mhm.
the norm. All right, give me your top 10 starting pitchers for 2024, and then we'll let you go because you have to go to the airport. I don't know if you
Yeah.
saw. There's this comedian. I forget which one it is. It might be Daniel Tosh who has the bit about driving to the airport
Yeah.
now
And
versus
post 9/11.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's a good bit. I don't know why anyone still picks people like take an Uber, but all right. I guess you're a good person. I don't even know who you're
Yeah.
picking up, but
Yeah. No,
whatever.
I am a person. Uh, full disclosure, I don't like I had friends stay with me a few weeks ago. If you're gonna like go to, I don't want anyone to Uber to the airport. Like that's so. I don't know what the word.
That's really kind of you. I can't wait to fly into Chicago. You'll
Yeah, I'll
probably
pick
have
you
like a
up.
long draft that you're like in middle of or something that you won't be able to pick me up.
Exactly. Well, only if you're staying with me. If you're staying somewhere else, find your own ride. But like if you're staying with me or
Oh,
something, you're
got
near.
you.
I know.
I see
Yeah.
how it is.
No. But you can stay with me. I got the guest room. You can
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
crash here. Yeah. Yeah. So top 10 overall. Number one, Spencer Strider. No gripe there. No
I
surprise
mean,
there.
you could flip one or two.
Yeah, I mean, some people maybe pick Garrett Cole, but Strider, if you're gonna get maybe 250 strikeouts, I don't think you can beat that.
Again,
Garrett, Mhm.
no wrong answer there.
No, yeah, Garrett Cole I have as number 2, Corbin Burns number 3,
So you're
number
high on
4.
Corbin Burns.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean,
All
he
right.
was the SP1 not too long
Yeah.
ago.
Yep.
I think people kind of forget about that. Zach Wheeler, number 4.
I love Zach Wheeler.
Can't complain there. I think he's a stud again, super
Yep.
high floor guy. There's a lot of high floor pitchers up at this top
Mhm.
range, which I really like. Luis Castillo at number 5, another high floor, high strikeout guy. And then I have Kevin Gossman at 6. I'm sorry, I know you just took him, but
I'm
yeah, I
happy with
still would.
that. I
Yeah,
love him when I took him.
mhm.
I took
A lot
him
of people
at the
do.
end of the 3rd round. Come on,
That was great
35
value.
overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 7, I have Pablo Lopez. Number 8, George Kirby. Number 9, Zach Gallen. And number 10, I have a tie between Aaron Nola and Tariq Skubal. I felt like I couldn't really leave one of them off.
But you're gonna go Scooble, right? I think it's a little early for Scooble. I'm not lying.
I
You
don't.
might be able to get Scooble on the turn.
Well,
I'm not
no,
trying to mess
he's
with
not
you.
my first. He's not my first pick.
How
If
about Mike
I'm
Trout? I think you should take Mike Trout. We talked so much
no,
about Mike Trout.
no, I can't. I can't deal with that much injury risk this early.
What about you like the organization? What about Framber?
I like Framber.
How
I
do you feel
just
about Kodai Senga? Do we know he's still not throwing yet? He's not going to pitch. I heard from Mike Puma said don't expect him before May.
yeah.
Where's that?
It's
So I
hard
mean,
to
where does
know.
that
I'm
leave
not
you with
sure.
him?
Yeah, I know he's got shoulder issues, which is kind of scary. I don't know
Concerning,
the extent
yes.
of it, but they seem like they're okay with him. They're going to take him slowly and not rush him. But he just got to drop his ADP maybe 100, 150 picks because you almost don't know when you're going to get him. And when he comes back, what does he look like? How long does it take for him to ramp up? And
Yep.
you might not be getting real production from him until midway through the year. Maybe at a best case scenario. So I like Kodai Senga. He might have made the top 10, but not with that injury. No. And right now, so I will take Pablo Lopez if he comes first. And then I don't know, maybe between Nolas, I guess Kirby. I just want 2 of these guys, right? I mean, I have Logan Gilbert. He's one that I haven't talked about today, but I am super high on Logan Gilbert. I think Logan Gilbert is phenomenal value. I did also so after my top 10, 11, whatever you want to call it, there are 5 guys who I put after that who not really in any particular order because I think that kind of tier, that level
Give me
of
those 5.
pitchers. Yeah. So it's Tyler Glasnow, Freddie Peralta, Logan Webb, Framber Valdez, and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. All of those guys are kind of, and even I throw Kirby, Gallen, Nola, Skubal into that. They're just like one big glob of, good low end SP1s, right? And so if I'm actually hoping to get 2 of those guys, like 2 of those, if I can get Pablo Lopez too, awesome. But if I get 2 of those guys over these next 2 picks, I feel really good about my staff, and that is my goal right now. So I almost don't care which ones, but I am going to try pair, maybe a Kirby with a Freddie Peralta, right? A high strikeout guy in Peralta with a good ratios guy like Kirby or something. So, yeah, I mean that's my list, my order, and we'll let you know how my pick goes next episode.
Yeah, we'll let you know. And all I'm saying is a simple apology will do. I'll accept the simple apology. And wait. And if Freddie Freeman has a great year, just a refund. It's not a lot. It's not an expensive league. Just a refund of my money at the end of the year. If Freddie Freeman has a great year, and that's it. That's all I'm asking. An apology and a refund if Freddie Freeman has a great year. That's it.
How about I find a replacement owner who won't complain about the draft style?
I mean, the draft is already happening. So if somebody wants to take over my team, sure, go for it.
Yeah, I don't think we'd have a problem finding an owner for that. No, I'm just kidding. No apology. I'm not apologizing. I have nothing to apologize for. You knew
You have
what this
everything to
was, right?
apologize. No,
I mean,
I didn't
yeah.
know what this was.
We
I
have to
didn't,
try
and
everything at least once. You just got to try it. Now you know you're not going to like it, so it's fine.
Whatever. I was going to say something terrible. I'm too
No,
tired.
go ahead.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. But you don't have to try everything once. Okay, that's my point. You don't have to try everything. There's some things you don't have to try.
Well, no, I'm just talking in the world of like fantasy baseball. Like you got to try you got to try an auction league. You got to try.
You have to try an auction.
You got to do all of these things. You got to try them, right?
You have to try an auction league.
Yeah. So what?
We're going to do our best ball draft again. We're still working on it. We're going to do our best ball draft during that week in between.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
Yep.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh my God. That was not supposed to happen on the podcast. Either way, all right, that means it's time to go. So until next time, please everybody like, subscribe, listen, rate, review, do all those kind things for us because we appreciate it. For Vince and I, until next time, we'll see you all later.